I got a monster video here for you. We have Crypto Lewis here back, Lewis XRP, talking about Ripple's banking license and the impact. People are underestimating how big this is going to be. I want to play this clip, give you my additional context. We're also going to take a look at a clip here from Apex 2025. Ripple has had some of the biggest partners and acquisitions in the crypto and blockchain space. I want to give you some additional context on why this is so important to their infrastructure and building it out. We're also going to take a look at Ripple's biggest partners out here in the space and why it's going to be so impactful for the XRP ledger moving forward. Let's get into this. I'm so glad to be having a clip from Lewis, man. I really respect this guy and his research. So let's hear what he has to say.
Basically, what this will allow Ripple to do is actually hold stablecoins as reserves with the treasury. This is directly integrating Ripple and RLUSD in this situation with the government in stablecoins. So that means increased liquidity, which means increased performance for XRP, which means increased demand for XRP, which means increased price for XRP. This is incredible news. But here's the thing that got me really excited, and this is where we start talking about, okay, yeah, this bull run, we might be getting to the realm of like $10, $11, $12 for XRP. That's fine. But once we enter the utility phase, and I believe that this whole thing, Ripple becoming a bank, I think this is the start of the utility phase. I think the moment they sign that deal and the SEC approve it, that Ripple has now become a bank, it's going to change everything, and I want to tell you why.
Really quickly, just to separate some things here, I think he's talking about the deal with Ripple and SEC finalizing and dropping their appeals. Who approves Ripple becoming a bank? Because they filed a national banking charter, it would be the OCC that needs to look at that information. I just did a great video on everything that needs to happen in order for Ripple to become a bank. It's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be a lengthy process. If you want to take a look at that video, it should be out on Saturday with this video as well. Let me keep playing this though. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Because XRP underneath. So this allows financial institutions and all kinds of entities to use XRP essentially for their transactions. It allows transactions to settle very quickly, very cheaply, so on and so forth. Because Ripple don't need SWIFT, Ripple are able to settle massive transactions in accordance to and with alongside the government without SWIFT, but using the new standard of language, ISO 20022, they can do it all using Ripple's technology. Here's why that's really compelling. Because the moment they do that, utility begins, because the competitive advantage between Ripple and any other bank is now being highlighted. So let's say it might take $1,000 to do $1 million transaction like in fees, and that was what it would cost using any other bank and the SWIFT system and all of that. It could cost like less than $10. This is multitudes less that it would cost to do these transactions. Now, of course, Ripple would then add their cut on top of that in terms of fees, and people will happily pay the fees because at the end of all of it, you'll end up paying like, I'm making numbers up here, but you might end up paying $200 instead of $1,000 still. And the customer gets cheaper fees. So the customer experience is faster because you can send payments across the world instantaneously, and it's way cheaper, and it's not going to fail because the amount of payments people do cross borders that fails. I'm talking really quickly here because I'm too excited. Not only is that going to be a great experience for us, it's also going to provide Ripple with a massive margin to make some profit, which we want them to do as a company. But when there's profit, other companies and other banks will start sniffing around. They'll go, what is this? We can make more money and charge our customers less. Like, I think we want to do that. And we don't need SWIFT to do it because it's all handled as well. It's kind of like this all-in-one software that can do the whole thing. Yes, please. That's what will happen. This is the moment. Ripple, if Ripple is...
I like my man's excitement there. I respect how much time Lewis has put into understanding all of this. He works just as hard as me, and I love listening to him talk and how he sees things and how he understands it. It really does brighten up my day. So if you're not following him over on YouTube, you should. Let me just show you if you don't know who that is. I know a lot of you probably do, but XRP Lewis, is that it? Lewis Jackson. There is my man's account right there, 135,000 subscribers. Go take a look at his channel. He's got a lot of really great information. Here are some of the other advantages. He was mentioning some of this too, but direct access to the Federal Reserve payment systems. In instant settlement, Ripple could settle transactions directly through systems like FedWire and FedACH and FedNow. FedWire does process $4.3 trillion per day. That's a lot of money. Being able to use XRP or RLUSD for that settlement could save this entire system billions or trillions of dollars over the next decade. Lowering costs, of course, we talked about that, extensively. Regulatory legitimacy and trust. I mean, when you have a national banking license, all of the due diligence has been done by the U.S. federal government. The U.S. federal government is saying that you have everything that we expect out of a company trying to become a bank. And once we give you that signed seal of approval, Ripple could go into any meeting anywhere in the world and use this to its advantage. That's why it's such a big deal. Compliance readiness, it positions Ripple to comply with pending laws like the Genius Act, which require major stablecoins to operate under strict federal oversight. So this is probably why Ripple's taking this step. There's also, all these other benefits, but, because stablecoins are going to have a very close eye on them, this would give Ripple even more credibility, which is what they're looking for. Improved integration for XRP and RLUSD. This is what we're just talking about. Seamless on and off ramps. Ripple could directly issue and redeem RLUSD, manage reserves at the Fed, and facilitate instant conversion between USD and XRP, and even fiat, integrating these assets deeply into the United States financial system, right? So what we're talking about here is XRP and RLUSD being a pivotal point of the US financial system, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin, remember, they've sold us now on Bitcoin as a store of value. That is what people are buying Bitcoin for. It's a digital store of value. It's probably going to be $5 million, dollars here over the next, 10 years, right? But XRP is going to be a part of the United States financial system. I'd rather own a lot of that. I'd rather own as much of that as I possibly can. And that's what I'm going to continue to keep doing. In my personal opinion, obviously talk with a financial advisor on some of this stuff. Broader adoption with direct Fed access, RLUSD and XRP could be used by more banks and payment providers for cross-border settlements, liquidity, and treasury operations, making them a part of mainstream financial flows. And of course, we talked about some of this other stuff, first mover advantage, yada, yada, yada. I did want to take a look at this Apex 2025 video. Take a look at this one. It's a minute 30.
We're at a turning point. We're not just modernizing finance, we're making it more inclusive, accessible, and programmable.
This is a massive opportunity. I'm excited about the new asset classes that we can't even imagine today. Now you can do them because you have an interconnected system with XRP.
Stablecoins are crypto's newest killer app. We've got $230 billion issued on chain today, and an expectation in the market that number will at least 5x in the next few years.
The vast majority of people globally are going to be transacting on chain, potentially without them even knowing it, because it will have proven to be better than what exists in TradFi.
Commercial paper, treasuries, money market funds, stable coins. All of these things are happening today on the XRP ledger.
As the needs of the community have grown, so too has the vision. We're incredibly grateful for the people who helped bring the XRPL to life.
I am incredibly grateful to everyone who supports this channel, so thank you so much. I did want to take a look at this. Ripple has formed 12 of its biggest partnerships over time, ranging from global banks and payment networks to custodian providers and blockchain innovators. I just wanted to take a look at this list again here. MoneyGram, we knew there's some early integrations with them. SBI Holdings has been one of the main financial banks or conglomerates that has supported Ripple's and XRP's growth over the last decade and a bit. Major financial conglomerate in Japan drives XRP adoption in Asia. Santander Bank, obviously leading global bank, validates Ripple's technology for traditional banking and cross-border transactions. Lian Global, Chinese payment service provider, facilitates Ripple's entry into the Chinese payments market, which is just an incredibly huge market. ArcX, regulated digital asset exchange, supports asset tokenization for trading, enhancing Ripple's presence in regulated crypto markets. The DIFC Innovation Hub, the Dubai leading financial innovation center, provides Ripple access to the Middle East fintech ecosystem and so many just of the biggest insurance companies and banks that are in the region. There's also Futureverse, focuses on metaverse and digital innovation, expands Ripple's reach into emerging digital economies and decentralized applications. Yonsei University. This is in South Korea. XRP is the biggest cryptocurrency in South Korea, bigger than Bitcoin. So I'd love to hear that. Medico, digital asset custody provider acquired by Ripple, strengthens Ripple's capability to secure digital asset storage and institutional grade custody solutions. Of course, we know by Hidden Road and all of its uniqueness, being a prime broker, being able to use RLUSD to settle $3.5 trillion per year. I mean, what else could we ask for? Obviously, if we can get other use cases going for XRP and RLUSD, that is only going to increase the need and the demand for the asset class. BNY Mellon, Ripple's been working with BNY for quite a long time. They've been sharing technology with them to tokenize value. $52 trillion at BNY Mellon under custody. One of every $4 custodied here in the United States is with BNY Mellon, and they are working with Ripple. BNY Mellon is also the custodian for RLUSD reserves. BDAX, blockchain and digital asset consulting firm, supports Ripple's regulatory compliance and strategic advisory for blockchain adoption. I also wanted to take a look at this one here. HSBC, Standard Chartered, Flash Payments, Temenos, connected to 3,000 banks. Of course, we talked about Santander, Visa, Coinbase, TravelX Bank, and so much more. If you're interested in kind of what these do, transition. The reason like these are key highlights in Ripple's a key piece of the backbone of the financial system here. Talks about transition from speculation to utility. XRP has moved from being a speculative asset to a core component of the unified financial system. Talks about treasury management, reserves, payment infrastructure. Notable names here, like I said, HSBC, Santander, Standard Chartered, Temenos, TravelX Bank, Visa, BitGo, Coinbase, all Ripple partners. Stablecoin and tokenization, right? We understand how big that's going to be. It could be $1 trillion or $2 trillion over the next 5 years. And of course, Ripple will be there. I did have one last question for you. XRP used to be the #1 cryptocurrency in the world, outpacing Ethereum. Do you think we're going to get back to that? Are we going to get in front of Bitcoin here sometime, some way, through the tokenization of financial assets, through stablecoins on the XRP ledger? If we will, if you believe we will be #1, how long is it going to take? Let me know down in the comments. Have a good weekend, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Crypto Sensei. Aloha. Nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Please seek financial advice if you need it. Let's get back to the video.